Good evening, everyone. Hi, my name's Arsh Ellahi, and in today's session, we're going to be talking about property strategies which will work in any economy. This is going to be a webinar that I've never kind of really done before because I'm going to be touching on the economy. I'm going to be looking at what's happened over the last few years, more importantly, what's happened over the last few weeks or the last couple of months. And we're going to be looking at which strategies I think we should be looking to implement, which will take us through definitely the next 6 to 12 months, even over the 24 months. I'm also going to be joined by a colleague of mine, Alex, who will be coming on shortly. And as a result, I'm going to get his take on it. And as a result, he's going to be talking to us about his experience with working through the Property Investor app, which I'll introduce shortly, and what he can see happening as a result of speaking to thousands of property investors across the country. Before we do that, if you could, I'd like you just to say a quick hello to me. Let me know that you can hear me nice, loudly and clearly. And also, what's kind of sparked your interest to be here this evening? What's your experience with property? Are you completely new to property? Have you got some property experience? And as a result, what you're aiming to achieve by being on the webinar this evening. If you wouldn't mind just writing that in the comments box, and we'll keep progressing further. I'll try and answer as many questions as we can as we go along. If not, we'll have a session for Q&A at the end where we'll go through any unanswered questions. I'd like to say thank you for trusting me with your time this evening. I appreciate it's a Sunday evening. It may not be the nicest of Sunday evenings, but we are here, and as a result of you spending your time with me, I'll make sure that we'll get as much information to you as possible. So over the next 60 to 90 minutes, what I'm aiming to do is show you how to get started in property with no money in and no experience if you don't have it, how to cash flow from simply controlling properties, how to find vendors direct and negotiate the best deals, but more importantly, have a look at what the economy is doing and how that reflects on the marketplace and how we can use that to our advantage. So quick hello to Andy, quick hello to Mustafa, who says that they're completely new, and some of them just keeping up to date. So again, guys, if you can put your comments in the box, please. The more interactive you are, the better this session will be. So why should you spend your evening listening to me? Who is Arsh Ellahi? First of all, I think one of my greatest accolades as a property investor, I should say that I've been involved in property for 22 years, and in that time, I've built a decent sized portfolio where I say that I've got the best part of 1,100 tenants, which is quite an amount. And if you were to ask me if I was to do this again, would I go to such a size? The answer probably is perhaps not, but I've enjoyed the journey. I've enjoyed the journey because it's taught me a lot, and it's allowed me to spin off and build other property businesses off the back of that. So as we scale, we find issues. As a result of the issues, we create new systems. And one of the systems that I kind of created was I became the founder of the Property Investor app. For those that don't know, and again, if you can, in the box there, just type in, have you heard of the Property Investor app? Are you already a member of the Property Investor app? If you can say yes or no, please. I founded the Property Investor app just over 3 years ago, and it's the UK's first property investment mobile marketplace mobile application. So some of you said no, and that's fine. So if you haven't, go and check out the Property Investor app. Like I said, we created an app specifically for property deals. So I like to call it the equivalent of like Rightmove for property deals. So instead of you having to trawl through Rightmove, we've got an app specifically that focuses on property investment opportunities. Go and check it out. You can either go to a website, which is propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or if you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor and download it from there. So lots of you are saying yes. I'm glad to hear that, if I'm honest. So as I said, I'm a property investor first and foremost. So I've got quite a large portfolio myself. I'm also what I would consider the UK's leading deal sourcer, deal trader, and I trade over 500 deals a year. And when we say that is, we're going to go through some of the opportunities that we look at there. I've been asked to write in quite a number of publications across the country. So I write in three very well-known publications. So I'll write in Your Property Network, I'll write in the HMO magazine, I also feature in Blue Bricks magazine, as well as, let's see if I put this on there, I'm a best-selling author of a book called Boom Bust and Back Again. As the title suggests, it's never always been easy. I've seen some good times with the boom. I've seen some really bad times with the bust. Back again to tell the tale. So as you can see, I don't just sugarcoat everything. I'll tell you as it is. If I think it's easy, I'll tell you it's easy. If I think it needs improvements, or if I think it's a tough strategy, I'll definitely tell you the pitfalls of it. And in COVID, in lockdown number 1, I released a podcast called The Property Rebel. And this is a podcast that I release every Tuesday at 6 a.m. where it's 15 minutes, so it's very short. And in that time frame, I try and talk about a different topic every week. Sometimes I'll talk about some positive stuff. Sometimes I'll talk about some stuff where it's had a bit of a negative impact on me. And every week is different. So feel free to go and check it out. Now, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about the UK economy. And again, I'm going to see if I can bring Alex in here. So Alex doesn't actually know what I'm going to be asking him because I've not prepped him on this whatsoever. But we're just going to go through everything that we've seen happening over the last couple of months. So, hi, Alex. Alex, you there?
Hi, Arsh. Okay. Hi, everybody.
Right. So, just to introduce Alex, Alex has been working with me for the best part of a year now in the Property Investor app, but I've known Alex for a number of years. And what Alex's role in the Property Investor app is predominantly to deal with property investors all over the country that contact us through the app. So he has a real good hand on what property investors are after and the kind of stock that they're looking for, but more importantly, how the economy now is affecting the property investment industry. Is that right, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I probably speak to approximately 100 investors a day on average. So, those investors range from first time, never done a deal before, who are looking for some support and guidance and handholding, through to people like Arsh's size who have got several thousand tenants and are just looking for the next property to bolt into their portfolio. So it's quite varied and quite substantial. Yeah.
Okay, so over the last let's just concentrate over the last 2 months, because we could talk about what's happened over the last couple of years, because we've had COVID to deal with, we've had the recovery of COVID to deal with, but then let's look more specifically over the last couple of months where we've had and if we look at the 6 images that we've got on screen, notably we've got the utility bills. So if you're a property investor, you would have noticed that if you've got a multi-let unit, or if you're running an SA or serviced accommodation unit, the utility bills in your property would have gone up significantly, almost to the point of 50%, or even matched up to 100% of what you were paying previously. Now, what this does to you as a property investor, it impacts your portfolio and your cash flow significantly. So let's just imagine that you had a HMO that you were previously cash flowing at around £1,000 a month. With the utility costs and the increase of that cost, that perhaps would have come down now, so the cash flow is now within the region of circa £500. So it's taken all these costs that you're having is taken a hit on your bottom line. Now, the people that were, let's call them financially free previously, are now having to look for different methods to try and, increase their income once again. We've also got that property prices. We'll talk about property prices shortly. We can talk about what's happened. Let's talk about our friend Boris and our former leader Liz, and shall we perhaps call him our incoming, I don't know whether we should call him incoming Prime Minister Boris again, because there are talks about whether he comes in or what that's going to do to the industry. I'm not the person that's the most economical person to speak to, or I'm not an economist. What I'm doing is I'm talking to you as an observer and what's happened over the last 2 months. Now, Liz Truss, we've seen that that's had a massive negative impact on the industry or as the economy as a whole. I'd like to say that whilst we had Boris, he led us through COVID, and as a result, you know, whether you like him or not, he actually got us through it, whether the good times or bad. So Alex, what would you say has been the impact of this, and what would you say that property investors have talked to you about the most?
I think, yeah, utility bills has been on the cards now for probably the best part of 6 months. So you know, in terms of the number of conversations I have with, you know, people interested in, like you said, multi-lets or serviced accommodation where they may be liable for the, you know, the ongoing energy costs. You know, that's obviously been a concern since, you know, Putin invaded Iraq back in February, March. So, so I speak to a lot of people daily about those things, and you know, so that's certainly been a big discussion. And then obviously more recently, interest rates. You know, I probably spend half of my day at the moment discussing interest rates and almost mortgage products, you know, that are available on the market, and trying to keep my finger on the pulse as to what lenders are offering what products and at what type of rates and what type of. So when I'm looking at a deal with an investor, you know, on the app, and they're saying, well, yeah, that all looks good, but, you know, what's the interest rates doing, or what type of lending and products are there in the market, that I can try and provide some kind of feedback and answers to that. So, so yeah, so Liz Truss certainly has, you know, caused us a lot of turmoil, and I think Jeremy Hunt's done quite a good job of coming in there and just trying to stabilise the market and stabilising things. But overall, the appetite for property investments is still really good. So the number of phone calls we receive on a daily basis hasn't really reduced. You know, there's certainly more questions being asked by those investors before they kind of make that decision to move forward. But that's, you know, ultimately that's what I'm here to do, to answer those questions and help that process. So yeah, I mean, Arsh, you've done. I think you were quite ahead of the curve actually. On your YouTube channel, probably 2 years ago, you first did a video on metro prepay meters about, you know, dividing up the energy consumption of multi-let units so that the tenants were individually responsible and paying for their own usage. And I know you started rolling them about 2 years ago. I probably talk about those videos and those metro prepay meters on a daily basis at the moment for people looking to get into HMOs or renovate, you know, an existing property to future-proof it, and obviously the benefits of doing that. The other thing that we've seen a big increase in is if we've got a HMO or again, or like a service accommodation unit where there's already prepayment meters in place, where the tenants are already responsible for their utilities. The inquiry numbers on that are you know, substantially higher than a standard HMO product at the moment. But yeah, no, it's interesting. So we're just rolling with it. We're seeing where the market goes, but overall the number of incoming inquiries from investors is still really strong. Just with a few more questions than normal, I would say.
Okay, well, let's get moving on. So obviously we've had a new head of state as well. So we've got a king instead of a queen, and ultimately when we look at everything that's happened, that's had a negative impact. So what we're going to be looking at is what can we do what strategies would you say now are strategies that are going to provide us decent levels of income, because today's session is also going to be talking about deal trading. And on screen right now you can see a bit of a housing market update, that a report that I pulled off from Savills. And one of the key things that they talk about is the turmoil that they've seen, that there's been a much lower activity in October. Now, this is whether they're a property investor looking to buy, whether the person looking to buy their own home or an investment stock, but ultimately there's been lower activity. And what I'm going on here is that we've seen that, Alex, not only have you been with me for the best part of 12 months, but previously you've been with us where we've been talking to estate agents where the market's been good.
Yeah.
And have estate agents wanted to have worked with property investors previously?
No, it's quite interesting. So what's happening in the market now is it creates a real opportunity for people like us, really, because when it's been, you know, a mad buyer's market like kind of the last 2 years have been, if you ring up an agent or, you know, even a vendor about a particular property deal, they've almost got a blasé attitude. Well, we'll sell it anyway. You know, we don't need, your assistance. We don't need, we'll sell it anyway because the market's been so daft. But in the last 6 to 8 weeks, the attitude of that's changing, and as a result of that, the available opportunities out there is definitely growing. So in this turmoil, there's really good opportunities to start finding some really good deals that people are struggling to sell, or they're not getting the inquiries on. And obviously we've got a very good database of buyers, so it's been interesting to see the attitude change in a very short amount of time, really.
Okay, so if you stay on for a second, Alex, I'm going to talk to you now. I'm going to introduce some deal source and deal trading strategies that we're utilizing, and we're going to look at strategies we're going to look at 6 different types of strategies that you could be looking for, and I'm going to talk to you about how you can monetize each lead, even if you decide not to take a property on yourself. Now, I've put on screen here where it says now's the time, because in scenarios where there is economic uncertainty, this is where I believe almost, I don't like using the word hustler, but definitely the ones that have the determination and the ability to go out and hustle and grind and execute. And when I saw this, I thought, yeah, this is absolutely perfect for what I wanted. There's got to be, for those that want to sit it out, they're going to miss a huge opportunity. For those that want to literally roll their sleeves up, grab this by the scruff of their neck and utilize it, will be the ones that actually make the most money during this period. And on the screen, where I've put the opportunity, what we're planning to do, what Alex and I are planning to do, especially over the next 12 months, is by working with agents all over the country. And the reason why we say working with agents all over the country is because this is possibly, you as a property investor, the greatest opportunity that you'll get to work with an agent. As Alex said previously, they've previously snubbed us off on the basis that, oh, okay, yeah, we don't need you because we've already got abundance of buyers. But what they're actually seeing now is a 60% decrease in their inquiries for every property. So you as a property investor, you as a deal sourcer, or as a property opportunist will have the opportunity to go and speak to these guys and say, okay, yeah, do you remember me? I spoke to you a short while ago. How's the market now? Can we now work together? And I'm talking to you about this from a real life day-to-day experience. This is what we're experiencing. Me and Alex, we attended an exhibition with estate agents just over a month ago, and we saw the attitude of them change massively. We met over 1,000 agents within that exhibition, and as a result, we're working with quite a few. Now, just to give you an example of what the marketplace looks like, did you know there's 53,000 estate agents in the UK? So think about that as a number, 53,000 estate agents in the UK. And we're now getting emails like this come through to us on a daily basis. So if you have a look here, there's one from a guy called Tom. He goes, Arsh, I've now got 2 HMOs that are on our books in Loughborough, and he can't sell them. So that's a guy called Tom. Here's an email that we got this week from a lady called Joanne. And she goes, we keep missing each other on the phone. Are you still selling stock? If so, can you sell this for us? We would never have got these emails the best part of 2 years ago. Would you agree, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we were doing all of the chasing, and now they're chasing us. Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, the reason why we're doing this webinar is because we think that you guys have got the opportunity where you can work with us. Now, the Property Investor app has got a database of over 50,000 users. Now, what we're looking for is hungry people, property investors like yourself, who we can teach how to deal trade, and as a result, by teaching you how to work with these agents, how to look for a deal, how to appraise a deal, how to package a deal, and ultimately we can sell the deal. Now, I'm not saying that you have to sell every deal, because there'll be people in this webinar or people watching this that don't want to trade deals, but what you will ultimately find is how to find the best deal and how to extract the best cash flow out of it. Now, as I said at the start, there are 6 main deal types in finding properties. And the reason why I like deal trading is very simply because although I'm a landlord myself, this morning when we had heavy rainfall, I've had a couple of people saying, oh, okay, I've got a bit of a leak or I've got a bit of an issue. So with deal trading, there is no tenants. There's no maintenance to deal with, no bank borrowings. It's 100% hands-free investing, and you're not tying up any money because you're not buying anything. In essence, what a deal trader is, for those that don't know, is I call it almost like a glorified estate agent. When we're talking about a glorified estate agent, when an estate agent comes to you, to your property, to market your property, can they guarantee that they're going to sell your property? No, they can't. All they can do is they can say that they're going to put your property out to a database, or they're going to generate some leads from platforms like Rightmove and Zoopla and see if they can sell your property. No one ever guarantees and says, we're going to sell your property within 7 days. They like to try and put a spin on it, but they can't guarantee it. So you're not tying up any money. You're not actually committing yourself to a property. And with this in mind, you can actually deal with any property in any town, city or country, and it can be started and stopped where you're required. And believe it or not, it can actually be done all over the country. Believe it or not, when I say this, it actually can be done all around the world. And so you don't have to deal with solicitors because you're not buying the property. You're not buying the property, so there's no surveys. You're not buying the property, so you're not refurbing, and you're not buying the property, so you're not having to deal with any builders. And the risk is zero. And that sounds really crazy, but there's no risk because you don't own anything, so there's nothing that can go wrong. Absolute worst case scenario, a property doesn't sell, and as a result of that, this is your opportunity for you to go back and either renegotiate with the vendor. How many times has a property not sold on the open market, and let's say estate agent then goes back and says, well, Mr. Smith, we're not sure that the property price is right, not what we think, that we need to renegotiate, and we reduce the price. How many times have you seen on Rightmove, you've got a little banner in there that says reduced? That's because they've not sold it the first time. They're now going back to it with a new price and a new offer. A question that's coming straight away from Mustafa, he goes, do you have to be FCA registered to deal source? There are some compliance steps that you do need to take. So you don't need to be FCA regulated, but you will need to be registered with anti-money laundering regulations, say AMLR. You need to have some kind of compliance certification in place, but we'll talk about that a little later on. So we're going to go through a list here. So Alex, the 6 property types, let me just see if I can go forward one step and then we'll come back. So the 6 different property types, I've actually put more on there, but let's stick to the 6. So we've got below market value deals. We've got full market value deals. Now that's going to throw some people out when we talk about full market value deals. Then we've got rent to rent deals. Then we've got lease option deals. Then we've got assisted sale deals. Then we've got exchange and delay completion deals. And then we've also got planning deals. So Alex, do you want to just talk to us about the different types of opportunities out there and why no one should just be looking at just one specific opportunity? What's the opportunity here?
Well, with that list there, and there's others besides, they all create opportunities for each other. So if you're already going on the market, especially in the market conditions we've had in the last 18 months, 2 years, where prices have been growing at ridiculous levels, and you're only looking to try and source below market value properties, then you would have had a really hard time to do that in the last, things have been silly. So if you're only focusing on that particular market, then you're missing all these other opportunities underneath. When you look at a broader spectrum, when you've got some ability to be able to appraise different strategies and different deals, you look at every property in its own merits in a different right. So for instance, Arsh mentioned before, how many times on Rightmove have you gone on and seen a property that's been marked as reduced? Now, anytime I see that tells me a couple of things. It tells me that we've probably got a motivated vendor, and there's something that's been a sticking point to that property. So we've got an agent there that's not getting paid because they haven't sold the property. We've got a vendor that wants to sell it, hence the price has been reduced. So there's an opportunity to do something there. If I was just looking at a BMV or full market value strategy, that's the only things I can talk about when I speak to that agent. Where a property like that, there's a very good chance it could be converted into a lease option or an assisted sale deal where you sit in the middle and you earn your money for packaging and selling them up. you provide an answer to the agent, you provide an answer to the vendor, and it gets them from where the pain that they're in at the moment to where they're trying to get to, the target they're trying to move to. So on a day-to-day basis, rent-to-rent deals and lease option deals, in terms of strategies, they are immensely popular because of the low capital requirements to get involved with up front. So anytime we put a rent-to-rent or a lease option deal live on the app, they tend to last less than a week before they're reserved and moving forward. Full market value deals, that Arsh, you said that might throw some people off. The other thing to bear in mind is that what I was certainly guilty of a few years back before I kind of got in Arsh's world a bit is I looked at things if it isn't for me, if a deal that I was assessing wasn't that something I was interested in, I just assumed that, well, it's not a deal. And I couldn't be more wrong. On average, I probably package 5 or 6 deals of my own per week that go live on the app. And most of those are deals that I'm not interested in, but I know that lots of other people are. Now, some of those deals are full market value. There's no discount to be had on that property. But the investor that's buying those types of deals, they're not looking for a BMV deal. They're looking for cash flow, or they're looking for future capital appreciation opportunities, or it's in their area. It's an area they know inside out, and they want to bolt it onto their existing portfolio. So what I've learned through working with Arsh, especially intensively in the last 12 months, is that people's what I perceived, people's intentions of a lot of the time are very, very different, and the range of intentions that investors have got, or needs or desires, it's massive. So having a good basis in all these different strategies gives you a really good foundation and skill set to be able to spot opportunities everywhere you look.
Okay, that's a really good summary, to be honest. And and what the two property investors are never the same. So one person may be looking for property growth or capital appreciation, another person may be looking for cash flow, another person may be looking for low barrier to entry. Some people may not be looking to buy, some people may only be looking to lease. The options are endless, and like I said, every investor is different, so there's no need to go out and just source for one. And I understand that people want to just do pretty much sourcing for specific clients, but when you've got 50,000 clients, that makes it a little bit more difficult. Now, let's talk about what is a deal. Now, I've put on here a list. Is it buying something below market value? So if I read this through the list, and can you tell me which one specifically for you is a deal? Is it buying something below market value? Is it buying a property in need of renovation? Is it something that's already income producing? Is it something producing a good ROI? ROI means return on investment. Is it something with a good potential of capital growth? Is it something that is sustainable, something that can continue to generate cash flow over a long period of time? Is it something that has a cash flow opportunity, capital appreciation, opportunity to add value, something where you can refurb and refinance and potentially or resell? Is it something that has a planning opportunity? Is it something that has the opportunity to take control with little capital, such as a lease option, or something where you have the opportunity to use someone else's asset in exchange of time? If I was to say to you, which one of those, or which ones of those are a deal, which one would you put? Comment in the box below. So Alex, for you, which one stands out? I know what you're going to say, because I'm hoping that you've been trained well enough over the last 12 months.
Well, you got put me on the spot here now. Well, listen, Arsh, if I'm honest, they're all strategies. They all have their pros, cons, and opportunities. I'm quite a big fan of planning game, but I'm also in the position of opportunity if they can control something with very little capital. So what were you hoping I was going to say?
You've done the right answer. Right answer.
There we go. There we go.
All of them, because the answer is there is no one specific. This is I don't want anyone to fall into the trap of only choosing one and sourcing one property specifically for that need. So if you're trying to source something below market value, you're perhaps now, and if you've looked at 10 properties and out of those, one is below market value, you've also missed up on the opportunity of the other 90%. Whereas, and the one thing I will say is that you should be looking at all of them and appraising them in different lights. So again, going back to my list, is one below market value? Is another full market value? How many times And Alex, I'll give you this as an example. The property in Manchester,
yes,
that came to us as a property on a purchase. Was that right? Remind me of that.
Originally the vendor was hoping to look at selling it, and then the conversation, and this is where understanding these tactics really works well, is I then spoke to that particular vendor, and this is a property in Salford, and I was trying to understand what their motivation was, what was it that they were trying to get to, and ultimately with that property, they actually didn't want to sell it. What they'd had was a very bad experience with some tenants, and the property had sustained damage, and they were just they'd had enough of having to be responsible for it, but they didn't actually want to sell it. So it came to us as a property to sell, and then I introduced them to a rent-to-rent strategy, and then Arsh, you can carry on from there, because obviously you took it.
Yeah, so the property that came to us initially as a purchase, I looked at it and I didn't think that was the best opportunity for it, because I understood then what the vendor's need and their motivation was. And I thought as a purchase, that may not be the best option. And so I jumped on a Zoom call with Alex and the vendor. And as a result, we turned that property from a purchase into a rent-to-rent opportunity. So it's a question that's coming from Tim. He says, do you need a direct-to-vendor relationship for listing on the Property Investor app? How does it work with estate agents' viewings? Right, this is really an important question. First of all, Tim, I'm going to speak to you directly on this. Don't chase small fish. Let's not go fishing in the pond. Let's now go fishing in the sea. And the reason why I say that is because I know lots of people that do direct to vendor marketing, and it's a great strategy, and you will get your best deals when you're direct to vendor. I'm not suggesting that you're not, but bearing in mind that that vendor will only really have one deal. So you're now pitching and putting all your eggs in one basket for one deal. If you go to an estate agent, generally they will have 30, 40 or 50 properties for sale. And if you create the right relationship like we have over the last couple of years, they will come back and feed you time and time and time again and build out your deal flow. Will build your deal pipeline, as they call it. I try not to use these terms that people come up with, but create your deal pipeline. So you'll have deals that you can chase on a day-to-day basis and appraise on a day-to-day basis. And as a result, think of the marketing cost. For you to write to that landlord or to that vendor, you've got to find their address. You've got to write to them. You've got to hope that they're going to respond back to you. But what happens if they don't respond back to you the first time? You've got to write them a second letter. You've got to write them a third letter, not knowing whether they're actually receiving the letters. And if they are receiving letters, how are they feeling about that letter? Are they interested? Are they not interested? You don't know because they've not communicated with you. Whereas with an agent, you build that rapport, you build that communication method, and you go meet them. You don't actually have to meet them. There's lots of agents across the country that I've never met, and we've just got a good rapport via the telephone. And as a result, they feed us stock monthly. So I wouldn't suggest chasing one deal. Let's look at this from a scalable opportunity. Remember, with everything that's going on in the economy, and the reason why I keep relating it back to the economy is that there's so much uncertainty. You've got to build your pipeline with deals so that you don't have to worry about what Boris or what Liz is going to do to the economy next, because you're trading deals and you're generating an income without their input. Regardless what happens in the market, you can still trade deals. And remember what I said is that if the prices come down, you structure your deals accordingly. So if it was 100,000 previously and the price has dropped by 10%, you work your figures on 90,000. Again, you're communicating and you're working with the agent, because when the market is tough, like we're going to experience over the next 6 to 12 months, agents are going to want to try and sell properties. Alex, you spoke to an agent on Friday. They were talking about letting some of their staff go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in fact, I know that that agent has actually now let 2 staff go. So previously they were really short of staff, struggling to be able to deal with the number of viewings and inquiries and sales progression. And then over the last 3 or 4 months, they've seen a slowdown in what's going on, mainly with the number of properties coming to market for them. But yeah, so they've actually let 2 staff go. If I just pick on that point as well, Ash, there's a few bits that people might be slightly surprised at, but estate agents don't particularly like selling investment stock because it's a bit of an unpredictable nature, and an unpredictable beast. So when whatever 1, 2, 3 estate agents in your local town comes to value Mr. and Mrs. Jones's 3-bedroom semi-detached house, well, it's usually sitting in a road full of other 3-bedroom semi-detached houses, which have got a whole heap of previous sold data. So when they go and value it, they've got the confidence that they know what they're valuing, and they've normally got a database of ready, willing buyers who are looking for their first house or their second house, whatever it is. So they know those properties, they know their buyers, and they know their vendors. When you turn that into a HMO, estate agents generally, they struggle on how to value it. They don't know how to necessarily find and deal with investors. And then when it goes on Rightmove to the mass market, what they get is a lot of inquiries from lots of unqualified investors who then waste a lot of their time and go through. So it creates an environment where lots of agents just don't like dealing with properties that have tenants in situ or income producing or mixed use, because it's too complicated for them. They just want to sell out of the box, very easy properties to Mr. and Mrs. Jones. So what we've seen is when the times have been very busy in the last couple of years, they've been selling everything because they can. Now when I'm speaking to agents, they're relieved to hear from you. They want to deal with you because they don't want to be dealing with the investors because they don't necessarily know how to or know how to do it well. They don't know how to necessarily package things up and present them in the right way. So it may sound like quite a tall order to ring an agent up and say to them, hey, this is who I am and I've got access to this database of investors and we're looking to sell these deals. And you might be thinking, well, why would they give me that opportunity? Well, the opportunity really is very simple because there's no cost to them to do so and there's no cost to you to do so. But it may get them a fee for you packaging up and selling that deal that they previously were struggling to sell. So you mentioned also there's 53,000 agents in the UK. I'm based in Chester and I know I probably know all the agents in the area, but I have a very good relationship with kind of 3 of those agents. And my stock that I package up personally comes a lot from those agents. And you only need 1 or 2 agents in your local area right on your doorstep that you can build that rapport up, and that is an evergreen pipeline of potential deals. Because if you can prove to them that you've got some, the knowledge and the ability to move those deals, they'll happily just keep sending them to you. So what may sound a bit daunting initially, getting these agents to pass you their leads, it's actually really straightforward. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
Yeah, very good points made. So moving on, why I also love deal trading is, as I said many times, I'm a property investor myself. If there's an opportunity that I see, I get to see it first. So I get to see all the best deals. So there's no hard and fast rule that you have to trade every opportunity. But what I do like is that when I see one and I like it, I get the opportunity. It's almost like a 1-horse race. I get the ability to say, yeah, okay, I'll have that one. I'll buy that one. Or as Alex said, that there was a property in Manchester that came along. We restructured the deal that worked for all parties. And as a result, I retained that one. I kept it and it works really well. I'll talk to you about a couple of deals that I've done where we've previously spoken to the vendor, we've spoken to the agent, we've managed to renegotiate the deal and do it. And as a result, this not only will build your own portfolio, and it will allow you to look at every opportunity and look at it from 2 points of view. Is this one something for me? If it's not something for me, do I still try and appraise it and monetize a lead? And this is the angle. There shouldn't be a lead or there shouldn't be a deal that you shouldn't be able to place a strategy on. So remember what we talked about, the 6 different strategies. We'll look at it. Is it a BMV deal? Is it a full market value deal? Can we structure it differently? Is it a cash flow opportunity? Go through the full list. And as a result, this is what we're going to be showing you how to do it. So as a result, you can say, okay, it doesn't tick that box, but it does tick this box. And as a result, when we appraise it like this, the cash flow looks like this, the return on investment looks like this. And as a result, it should hit this amount of people and their tick boxes. So as a result, you've already got a buyer pretty much ready in mind for that deal. So here's a block of apartments in Nottingham. I agreed a deal with the owner. Well, I took them on a 3-year lease. No deposit was paid. I actually got 3 months rent-free period because he was still finishing off some of the apartments, and they continued to ensure and maintain the structure. So these are in Nottingham city centre. These are now part of my portfolio. There's 7 apartments, and this was when I actually took them on in February earlier this year. As a result, I can actually say that they actually generate nearly the best part of £6,000 a month as opposed to 2,000. I didn't update this spreadsheet because I wanted to give you the worst case scenario. I can actually show you figures, and I can actually show you bookings to say that this apartment block generates approximately £6,000 a month, which is nearly 72,000 a year. Now, you only need one deal like this, which will be able to replace your income. And again, going back to my point of the economy, regardless what happens with Boris, etc., this now, I've got an income which is a steady case, which is steady, shall we say, cash flow model. And as a result, you only need one of these deals, and you can do this. And every time you find a deal, you can either bolt onto it or you can just keep monetizing it. So you can see some of the pictures of the apartments. This was a brand new block that had just been built. You can see it's newly renovated. I didn't have to do any work to the building. All I had to do was furnish it. We now run it on service accommodation, and we've got a very high occupancy rate because of the standard of finish and the location. Now, I'm going to talk to you about another deal. This was one of my greatest deals in 2021. So here's a deal where the owner came to me. So I'm not saying don't do direct to vendor deals, but here's a deal that I did do direct to vendor, where we agreed the deal where they would get approximately £300,000, which I would say was close to market value for the property. So again, going back to the strategy, this was a full market value deal. I looked at the property and I said, I can see a greater scope here, because I reckon that we could extend the property and go off and get planning permission. Now, this is a different style of property because it's something that I took on a lease. Well, when I say a lease, we took it on an option, and then we did an assisted sale. So we actually did 2 strategies on one property. So we took the option, we managed to go off and get planning permission to extend the property, which took a period, a short period of approximately 8 weeks. We then sold the property on for £415,000, and it cost me approximately £500 to do that. Now, the cash, when I say the cash flow, the capital appreciation of that was £103,000. Now, I put this out there just so that you can see that there is larger gains to be made, but these are a needle in a haystack. The ones that you should be looking for are the deals that are going to generate, and I can show you opportunity after opportunity, like we've got on screen now, where they generate an average fee of between £3,000 to £5,000 per deal. So, Alex, you want to just tell us roughly what kind of fee structure we work on and what kind of fee each kind of deal commands?
Yeah. So as a very rough rule of thumb, usually our minimum fee is around £3,000 plus VAT. You know, I've done deals with you, Arsh, where we've had fees of £16,000. You know, obviously on you know, very tasty deals, things that have got a good profit for the investor. And with the partners, with our guys that we source with, we actually split those fees 50-50. But just to mention on that previous property as well, obviously that's a property that came to you, and I just want to mention the reason why that property came to you is because you were looking at lots and lots of different deals and appraising lots of different deals and doing lots of different deals, and in doing that, these opportunities come to you. They come and knock on your door. But if you weren't doing that activity, if you weren't making those, you make your own opportunities by the activity that, the actions that you take. So if you weren't, deal sourcing and making those calls and making those connections, that deal would have never come to you. It would have gone to somebody else that was doing those things. So you got that, made that 103,000 because of the activity you've done on rent-to-rent deals and building up those relationships. So again, that was something that I learned early on. So I was just sourcing with a couple of local investors who had portfolios and selling one here and selling one there, and that was okay. That was okay, but it wasn't great. And then again, just started working with you and up my activity level. To my surprise, what I noticed then was that although you couldn't maybe initially see the fruits of what that activity looked like, all of a sudden people were ringing me rather than me ringing them. So I wasn't chasing every lead all the time. People were ringing up and saying, "Oh, hi Alex, we spoke 6 months ago about this property. That's done and dusted. However, I've now got this opportunity. Can you do anything with it?" And it was quite a short amount of time that started to happen in, but it all came about by the just making the phone calls, really, the activity. So yeah, so that was my point on that one, mate.
Yeah, again, but a very valid point. You've got to be, as Dale Winter says, you've got to be in it to win it. And as a result, the more calls, I'm very clear and very big on consistency. If you're consistent with what you do, the more calls you make, the better you will become. The better you will become, the more opportunities you will see. The more opportunities you see, the more probability and higher chance that you have of closing those deals and generating fees. If you're only making one call and expecting to convert that call, that's a very low probability. If you're making 10 calls in a day, you've got a high chance of success. So again, going through some of the deals that we've done in 2022, I could talk to you about hundreds of deals that we've done throughout the year. And these are all deals that have come through to us from students or people who we have trained through part of our training program, and these are all deals that have sold. So again, if you've not already got the app, go and check out the Property Investor app. Again, go and download it off the App Store and even look at the deals that you got there, because these are all properties bought to us through some of our students. Now, again, one of the questions asked was, do you go and do viewings? So Alex, you want to just quickly top out and tell here, because we don't physically advocate you go and physically view the property. So Alex, in the year that you've been with me, how many properties have you physically gone to view?
2, 3, and they're the ones that are on my doorstep from my own local agents. That's it. But in that year, I don't know how many.
I don't think I'm doing you the full justification here, Alex. Let's talk to you about your deals. I've not even put these on the slides. Talk to us about your deals. So let's have a look at some of your deals. So first of all, you did the Manchester one. You're based in Chester.
Yeah.
So you're based in Chester. Did you go and visit Salford?
No, I didn't. No, I've seen photographs of that property. I haven't been to see it once. No.
Okay, tell us about some of the other deals that you've done where you've been paid out the fee, and did you go and visit it?
Okay, yeah. So probably this year, the furthest one away from me, I'm based in Chester, is Aberdeen. So we sold 10 flats in Aberdeen, direct to vendor. That deal was just happened to be, but 10 flats in Aberdeen for £675,000. And I've never been to Aberdeen. So not only have I not seen them, I've never been to Aberdeen. So that geographically was probably furthest point from where I live to where to the property. And I think from memory, Arsh, that was a £10,000 fee on that deal. So yeah, no, in terms of the stuff that I package, I don't personally view any of them really, unless it's immediately 10 minutes down the road. I may as well go and take a little look at it. But 99.9% of the deal packaging that I do, and we do via the app, we get the data sent to us from the agents or from the vendor, and we do our own research, using Rightmove and Zoopla and all those types of marketplaces to understand the deal, understand the values and the potential, and then package that up and put it out there. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks for that. So all the information that you require for pretty much deals, believe it or not, if you're working with agents, it's all provided for you. Let's think about it. The agents have done all the hard work. They've done the marketing. They've got the vendor in. They've got their property signed up to their agency. Off the back of that, they go out and they take the photos. They take the measurements. They do the floor plans. They allow you, they provide you with all the information so that you can do what I would call a desktop analysis on that property. And off the back of that, you can then run the multiple cash flow models based on that. And then that's where you can identify where the greatest need or where the greatest strategy is for that property. There are things that you will have to take into consideration. There are like what legislation, what's the local regulation within that location. So is it an Article 4 area? What's the demand like for service specific strategies such as service accommodation? What's the local attractions? But believe it or not, this can all be done either by two ways: desktop research or a 10-minute conversation with a local or a number of local agents. And you don't have to just be a one-trick pony and just do agents, but I would suggest that if you are looking to get off the ground and build your pipeline, the agents is the quickest way to do that. There are other platforms that I put on this list in front of us, such as Spare Room, Open Rent, Gumtree, eBay, and so many more, where you can go direct to vendor. But that is when you're direct to vendor, chances are that in order for you to do that deal, you may need to go and visit it. That means that there's going to be additional costs, additional expenditure, because really, if you're a vendor of the property and I was just calling you out the blue, how much trust are you going to be able to install in me by just saying, hi, yeah, I want to sell your property, blah, blah, blah. I think I can do this. Let's do a deal. And it can happen, and it has happened, but there's a lot more work to go on behind the scenes. Would you agree, Alex?
Yeah, I think generally when you go on like the Open Rent and Facebook and all those types of places going direct to vendor, when you've not got like a brand, like an estate agent has, you're actually putting in a lot more effort to get that one deal from that one vendor than it is to actually speak to an agent who then might send you five. Because like you said, the agent's done all the hard work, so the agent's got the vendor already signed up on a contract. You're now just trying to help the agent out to do their job. Where, like you said, when you ring up a vendor, hi, I'm such and such out of the blue, and we do this all the time, Arsh, but we're used to how to position yourself. But when you ring them up, the amount of work involved to build that rapport, to build that trust, over the phone with that one person to get one deal, I can make 3 agent calls and get multiple deals with less effort.
I forgot to mention here, and this is a really important part. What's in it for the agents? Let's think about this from a logical point of view. If that property does not sell with the agent, they do not make any commission. The longer that property is sat on the books with that agency, the more that the vendor will start to think, well, this agent hasn't sold it, we're going to go somewhere else, we're going to try another agent, we're going to do dual agency. That creates competition and more pressure for that agent. And what we tend to do is when we speak to an agent, we say, guys, I'll tell you what, we'll put your property out to our database of 50,000 people. It's a new targeted database of specific property investors. As a result of that, we'll try and generate you a sale. Now, what we say to agents, what we're very clear on is that we don't charge the agency a fee. We don't want anything of their commission, because as a deal sourcer, deal trader, we make our money from the buyer. And the estate agency will still make their money from the seller, as they would traditionally. So they make their 1% of the seller, we make our money from the buyer, and it really is a win-win scenario. And I can't make it any simpler than that. It really is. That's why agents will be more motivated to work with you, because if they've not sold it through the traditional method, which is by sticking it up on Rightmove and see if they can generate a sale, they're now almost like a mini let's call it egg timer, where it's ticking down before the vendor now goes off and tries to find another agent. Would you agree, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
they have the sell. That's sort of saying agents aren't very good at selling investment stock, because they have either got a database of buyers that they can ring up, or they put it on Rightmove, and if those things don't yield a sale, then that's usually their creativity. And I'm not, some agents are very good at, don't get me wrong, but by and large, that's usually their strategies finished. So in those situations, when a property's been online for you know, a couple of months it's not sold, or there's a price reduction on it, you know, that really is some key indicators that are really easy to spot, that there's an opportunity to provide value to the agent, get the solution that the vendor's looking for, and getting a sale agreed, or a lease option agreement, or whatever it is. And really, that's like the lowest hanging fruit, you know. And it's out there. It's on Rightmove. It's free. It's easy. It's pick up the phone. It's easy.
Yep. Okay. So as I've put on the screen right now, the key to this is being able to be fluid, be flexible, because no two transactions will ever be the same. You know, no two conversations will ever be the same. So when you're looking at a property, you think, oh, okay, I like this. I think we can apply this to, you know, whether this can be a HMO, whether it can be a service accommodation, whether it can be a refurb opportunity. And you can't apply that. You've got to be able to move with the property. You've got to be able to look at a property. You've got to be able to appraise a property. You've got to think, what's the best option for this property? What's the best cash flow strategy for this property? Or is this a better property to buy, refurb and do up, providing that we can show that the figures associated with that. So I've put at the bottom, the most strategic will be the most successful. And I'm very clear that you know, I'm almost, I don't like relating this to this, but just imagine yourself like a mini Del Boy. You've got to go out there, you've got to do the deal, you've got to look at it, you've got to think, oh, okay, this will work for this. And as a result, the cash flow will be this. And as a result, we can sell this deal for this. Does that kind of make sense? And remember, looking at some of the deals that we've done over the last couple of weeks are a mixture of below market value deals, full market value deals, rent to rent deals, lease option deals. And again, another variety is that some of the deals may come direct from vendors. We're not discounting them if they come direct from vendors. Some deals will come from other agents, like estate agents. I've only touched on estate agents. Believe it or not, there are multiple different types of agents that you can deal with. And we'll be going through this in greater detail. And also, have you ever heard of co-sourcing? So another sourcer may have had the deal, but they've not sold the deal. Now, if they don't sell the deal, they don't get paid. So you can piggyback on someone else's deal, and as a result, everyone wins. I can talk to you about deals after deals after deals, so more deals that we've done on the Property Investor app. And I can give you success stories of students all over the country, if not the world. I've actually got students in Saudi Arabia who has been doing multiple deals month after month for the last few years.
Yeah, so, yeah, and he's definitely not seeing any of them, Arsh. He's not jumping on a plane to go and read them.
So he's based in Saudi Arabia. So English is not his first language. Location, obviously, he's based in a different country, and he's still speaking to agents and negotiating and closing deals from a different country. Now, if you want more case studies, the one thing I suggest is that you go to a Property Investor app, whether you download it on the App Store, whether you go to a website, and have a look, because these are all deals that are all being done on a daily basis. Now, the reason why I'm running this session with Alex is because Alex said to me, and he said to me, Arsh, he goes, economy on its backside. There's going to be a need for people to go out and create an additional income. So Alex, talk to us about the 5-day property challenge.
Okay, so yeah, so the 5-day property challenge is going to be a real kind of intensive, you know, view at how you can basically learn from Arsh and myself, and learn the strategies and you know, the opportunities of how to find deals, where to find deals, and appraise them, so that you can, you know, quickly, really quickly, be able to start building like a supplementary income to help with, you know, the turmoil that's going on in the market. So we're going to do four days on webinar, and then the real big one really is the day training live in the room with me and Arsh, where we're going to be there to get on the phone to agents and help you, and you can listen to our calls, and we can find some deals. We'll be there in person to answer questions and just physically be able to show you in person what we're doing, how we're doing it, and really provide value to you of giving you lots and lots of years of experience between myself and Arsh, you know, doing this every single day on a you know, in a small group on a one-to-one basis. So it's going to be 5 days, but it's going to be a very you know, jam-packed 5 days with a lot of value provided, and genuinely after the end of this, 5 days, you will be able to find deals, you will know what to say to agents, you will know how to appraise and package them, and then we will be able to sell them via, on our app. Obviously, we can't promise that we can sell every deal either, that nobody can, but we do have a very good database of buyers, and that's what I do every day. I'm a bit like a dating agency. I pair the right investor to the right property deal all day, every day. So that's what we do, and within 5 days, we really can get you on the path to you guys doing it as well.
So how it will work is that we've got 4 webinars which are going to be happening on. So the program starts on the 7th of November, so it's just over a week away. And on the Monday, we hold a webinar between 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. On the Tuesday, we run a webinar between 7 to 9. Wednesday, webinar between 7 to 9. Thursday, webinar 7 to 9. And on Friday, we have the day on the phones. Now, the day on the phones is the day that you guys will be hitting the phones, hitting the agents. And our aim is that within that 5 days, you've got to get your first deal. The reason why I say you've got to get your first deal is because your first deal is always generally the toughest, because it's a new skill. You've not done it before. I want you to get that sense of success and show you how easy it is. So getting that agent to say, yes, Alwyn, here's your, we have not sold this one. Can you go and sell it for us? The buzz that you get from that is phenomenal. Off the back of that, we then praise it, we package it, we put it up on the app, and we sell it. Now, the way that we operate with all deal sources all over the country is that the app does work on a split fee basis. So it's a 50-50 split fee basis with the deal sourcer. The webinars that we run on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will be going through all the different strategies. You'll also be getting all the contracts, the templates and the spreadsheets. Now, someone has just said to me, Arsh, can you put that link in the, someone said, can you put that link in the chat? And I will do that right now. So if you look in the chat, you'll see that I've just stuck that link in there so you can click on that. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to be going through all the different strategies. We're going to be looking at how to find below market value deals, how to appraise full market value deals, how to find rent to rent, how to find lease option deals, how to look for service accommodation deals. You're also going to be getting the calculators, the contracts and the templates. So, and more importantly, almost like the formulae, so that when you speak to an agent, you know exactly what you're going to be looking at. And what I want you to be doing is collating a list of opportunities. So on the Friday, myself and Alex will be going around the room with you. I'll be listening in on those calls, seeing what you're saying, what's going well, what needs improvement, what can we sharpen up on, and turn that no into a yes. And the aim is that each and every one of you should be walking away. You'll be walking on the Friday. You may be working in groups with some of the other members in that room. So I'll have some of my personal mentees from the Elite Property Tribe. They'll be there as well. So you'll have those who have got some experience in this, and you'll be working with them. And as a result, the plan is that you're going to get your deal. Now, the cost of it, I don't mind saying, is $997 for the full 5 days. You can bring a business partner for free. Got no issue with that. So we start on Monday the 7th. The live event is Friday the 11th. My birthday is Saturday the 12th. So, what I'm trying to incorporate is whether we can go for a quick bite to eat on Friday the 11th after the event. Whether that happens or not is still yet to be confirmed. Depends on whether my wife or my children have got something planned for me on that Friday evening. So the Friday the 11th is a full day. We start at 9 o'clock. We finish at 5 p.m. It's a full day of action where we've got a day looking for deals, a day speaking to agents and vendors, a day appraising deals, a day calculating the return on investments, a day looking at the hotspots and working in groups with fellow members. It really is a full-on hands-on experience. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to be learning on the webinars the different strategies. You're also going to be given homework on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So come Friday, there is no reason for you not to be able to hit the phones and get your first deal agreed. And again, Alex and I will be circling that room, listening on your conversations, getting that deal done. If I need to jump in on one of those calls to seal that deal, that's exactly what I'll be doing. Now, on the training day previously, here's a guy, top right-hand corner, guy called Jay Uday. He came and he spent a day in the office with me, and I had to teach him how to become a yes machine, because he had no previous experience. He had no money to invest. He was one of my newest members, and he was a full-time teacher. And within that one day, we managed to get him 2 HMOs. Now, he was sat in my office in Wolverhampton. We actually did 2 property deals in Stoke-on-Trent that day. And we managed to source and package the deals, and he generated £10,000 in sourcing fees in that one day alone. So the training day is almost teaching you how to become a yes machine. And that's what I want you to be, because every agent you speak to should be saying, okay, let's just have a look who we've got on time. So Alistair, Adam, Abby, Angela, Anil, Barbara, Beatrice, Bill, you guys all should be saying, okay, yes, we want to work with you. At the moment, it's not sold. We need to sell it. Let's see what we can do. Let's get it up. Let's get it out there. Let's sell. It is a numbers game. It has to be a numbers game. And as a result, there's no reason why you should not be making money off deals, and you will not spend a penny in any marketing. All it needs is you, a positive attitude, and the ability to pick up the phone and say, guys, you've not sold it. Let us do something with it. Let's get working with it, and let's sell it. So, Alex, anything that you've got to add to that?
No. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, I was just looking up some figures, because we ran a day in March. But do you remember, Arsh? And again, Wolverhampton, slightly different thing. But we ran a day on the phones in March, and in that one day, from the figures I've got, I think we did 38 deals. We found 38 properties on that one day, just with, on the phone, doing exactly what we're discussing here. So, if you were to just roughly monetize that at £3,000 per property, it's a significant cash. I mean, it's 108,000 plus VAT in fees in a single day. Now, obviously, they didn't all come to fruition, they didn't all sell, but it's about that activity, making those calls, and it's all. I think for me, the biggest learning curve I went through was listening to Arsh on the phone. So very early on, probably going back 5 years, I'm okay on the phone. I can talk to most people about a whole range of subjects, but everyone's nervous when you go through that process, and you always put these barriers in place. And I think just listening to somebody who does it a lot, who's got the pattern, has got the rhythm and the way that they talk, it really builds confidence. So, touch wood, I'm reasonably successful at doing that now, and I speak to agents daily, and I'm pretty good at getting the stock from them. But I've been in the shoes of you guys, of having to learn and go through that process and push through the mental boundaries, of doing it. Arsh taught me those things, and now I do it with him every day. So the opportunities to do some really good stuff is there. The knowledge in that man's brain is crazy, and you'll have unrestricted access to it for a day, and obviously I'll be there to help as well. So I think it really is good, and like you said, we're very happy to jump on calls with you, and you can listen to how we talk to the agents and how we deal with their concerns. Or I think the key bit that I find is I tend to I know what their type of concerns and agents may come up with, so I try and answer them before they ask the question. So when I talk to them and I get into my pattern and my rhythm of what I say, and you only learn that by doing it, and you'll all find your own rhythm, your own pattern, once you start picking up the phones. But it's there to be done, and like I said, the last couple of weeks we've seen the tides have changed. The agents that we were doing a lot of chasing for, there was a lot of phone calls to try and get one deal, and now I'm ringing agents and they're saying, oh yeah, by the way, I've got these 7 properties, I've got these 2 properties, can you sell them for me, can you help me? So things in the market were obviously causing turmoil for lots of other people. It really is a genuine opportunity to capitalize.
Okay, yeah, very good point there. So there are lots of people that I could talk to, again, like properties. There's lots of students that we've taught and are continuing to provide deals. Some of these guys are providing opportunities just for themselves, so they want to build a portfolio themselves. So Ashley is building his own portfolio, so he's finding deals for his own purpose. He's done deals where he's not required money, he's gone out and found money as a result of that. We've got Bav, who's done some rent-to-rent deals. We've got Lenka, who's done multiple deals. We've got Ale, that has gone off and built a rent-to-rent portfolio of 37 rooms He went from 7 properties to 17 properties within a very short space of time, and that's his own portfolio. We've got Amanda that has done multiple deals, and we've got Adam, who I've done in excess of 50 deals with. So again, you can see someone starting out to someone that's a complete experienced investor. There's no limit. It's almost like an OTE. How much do you want, and how much you've got to put opportunity to earn on that? How much time do you want to put into it? And as a result of that, will determine how much you get back out of it. Would you agree, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The more calls you make, the more money you're going to make. It genuinely is as simple as that. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a bit of time. We've got about 10 minutes where we're going to go through some Q&A in a second. If you wouldn't mind, stick your questions in the comments box and I'll try and answer. So just to have whilst you're doing that, I'll have a bit of a recap. So Salim says, after the course, we'll be able to contact one of you for advice. Absolutely. So what you'll be doing is that I'm hoping that after the course, you'll be working closely with us so that we can continue to feed you. So I'll create a mini WhatsApp group specifically for the people coming on this training. I'll be in that group, Alex will be in that group, and as a result, you'll have the ability so that if you're stuck or you're not sure about speaking to an agent and you want one of us to jump on it, we will do that. As a result of that, there'll be, off the back of this, Alex will be speaking to you, I'd say daily, but it depends on how much support you need after. But you're always going to be able to pick up the phone to either me or Alex, or even ask a question in that WhatsApp group. So just to recap, so the 4 webinars, which are going to be happening on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which start from the 7th of November. They are between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. We're going to be going through all the different topics and all the different strategies. And on the Friday, we're going to be implementing that, where we've got the day on the phones. It's a live event. It's going to be at a hotel in Wolverhampton. I think we're kind of working on the Novotel Hotel, which is right next to the Wolverhampton train station, so everyone can get there. You can have access to all the contracts, templates, and spreadsheets. And you can, by literally going into the chat box, clicking on the link, you'll be able to take you into the page where you can join up. So Mohammed says, on the Friday evening, does every attendee usually get a deal? All depends, Mohammed, on how you interpret the information. If you've attended Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you've took that into your stride, there's no reason why you can't get your first deal. So Mohammed also says,
just on that point, I'd just say that what we found, or what I find, is that it may not just be the first phone call. So on the Friday you may speak to 5 or 6 different agents, and there may be some leads there that just need a little bit more nurturing, a little bit more moving. So whilst you might come away on the Friday and you think, oh, I haven't got a deal, as long as you keep that follow-up, keep that process, keep that rapport, the work you put in on that Friday with us live in that room may end up by the following Friday yielding you 3 deals. So it doesn't always work that everybody gets a deal walking away on that Friday, but it's about that foundation, putting that work in. And that's what we found, many times before, is that by the end of the following week or week and a half, the number of deals from that one day has grown significantly over time. So it's, they always said the money's in the follow-up, and it definitely is the case. There's a lot of money to be had by not taking no for an answer, and and kind of bringing them back up in a week's time and seeing how they're getting on again. There's plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, Mohammed also said, what topics will we cover Monday to Thursday? Well, Monday to Thursday, we're going to be looking all through the different strategies. As well as that, we're going to be looking at the rent-to-rent opportunities. We're going to be looking at lease option opportunities, direct-to-vendor leads. We're going to be looking at working with agents. We're going to be looking at how to utilize things like planning registers, how to look for HMO registers. We've got a full spectrum of things that we'll be looking at between Monday and Thursday. There's going to be lots of homework for you to do Monday to Thursday. So come Friday, you've got a list of people that you should be calling. I don't want anyone turning up on the Friday that hasn't got a list of people to call, so that we're not wasting time on Friday thinking, oh, I don't know what this is, or I don't know what that is. Monday to Thursday is our question time. Friday is our action time. So someone's asked a question, is this course enough to get started, or will we be selling more further courses? I don't sell any further courses, so there is no upsell. So this course, you're going to have everything that you need to get started and also get your first deal. So like I said, I'm not one of these, if you notice, I don't run training very often. I'll perhaps do 2 trainings, which is my flagship Elite and Property Tribe, which do not January and June. I don't really run any other training. Brona, I hope I pronounced that correctly. It says, are all the webinars recorded? Will they be on replay? Yes, all webinars that we do Monday to Thursday, recording, you get access to those via a platform, which I'll give you access to. And they also go on to say, does the course teach you in depth of deal sourcing, getting rent to rents, etc.? Is it more specific to deal source? It teaches you the whole process from A to Z. There's no point me only teaching you steps number 1, 2, and 3, because when you jump on the phone to the agent and you don't know the rest of it, it's kind of a pointless exercise. I give you everything step by step. So one thing I will be doing is almost giving you a mini flow chart of the whole process. This is the property. It does this. Does it do that? Have you done this cash flow model? Does it work on this cash flow model? And we go through the whole process. So John says, how profitable is it in London? Very broad question, John, because what kind of strategy are you looking at? Are you looking at below market value? Are you looking at rent to rent? Are you looking at SA? Are you only looking at one strategy? Are you looking at multiple strategies? How many agents are you calling? How many agents have you spoken to that week? So if you're only calling one landlord about one property, no, it's not going to be profitable. If you're calling 30 agents within that week or within that month, yes, it's going to be very profitable. So again, let's not think about this of we're fishing in the pond. Let's go back to let's start fishing in the sea. Let's go out and let's cast that net. And more importantly, John, why have you limited yourself to London? That's one of my questions to you. Just because you live in London, you don't have to go unless you want to keep the properties that you're sourcing yourself. You can do that and keep that within your local vicinity. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not intending to keep any of the properties, don't limit your reason to source in one location. So Tim says, do the deals on the app need to be off market, or can they also be delivered on the portals? They can be delivered live on the portals. They don't need to specifically be on off market. We have got specific terms that we ask the agents to work with. And again, this is something that Alex and I will be going through with you on the webinars. But you know, there are multiple properties that we've been working with agents where they don't want to remove them. Let's face it, Rightmove and Zoopla are the world's or the UK's largest property portals. If Tim comes along and says, hi Tim, you call up the estate agent and you're saying, my name's Tim, you don't know me, I want you to remove your property off Rightmove and Zoopla because I think I can sell it. They're going to say, Tim, in the nicest possible way, put the phone down and never call me again. Because what you're actually asking them to do is damage their business. Think about it from a logical point of view. If you were the estate agent and I called you and said, you don't know me, I don't know you, but would you mind just removing that property off the market, please? Because I think I might be able to sell it. When you put it like that, it sounds a bit daft. But the reality is that you want to be able to be in a position and say, yes, hi, this is who I am, this is what I can do. You can leave it there if you want, got no issue with that. Plan A that you've already had has failed because you've not sold it. I'm giving you plan B and C, and as a result, collectively, we should be able to sell it. Does that make sense? So Madge says, I want appointments. Okay. The first appointment that you've got to make then, Majid, is clicking that link. And the first appointment that we'll have is on Monday, the 7th of November at 7 p.m. Now, just something that I'm going to also give for those that a little bit that want to get started. Someone has said, can we do it earlier? What I'm actually going to do is I did a 5-day property challenge in March this year. And as a result, I've got that all recorded, including the live day on the phone. So you can see what kind of level of success and the energy that was generated on that live day. So for anyone that joins this evening, I will give you access to those last 5 days so that you've got yourself a head start. Got yourself a head start so that you can watch those 4 webinars plus the 5th, the full day of that 5 days, so that when you turn up on the 7th, you're pretty much ahead of the game. In actual fact, I'd be really disappointed if you hadn't started making calls before the 7th. So the chances are that you could actually get your deal before actually starting the program. which is quite powerful when you think about it like that. So are there any other questions? I've gone through all the questions that I've come across so far. Let's just have a quick look. Okay, so I think I've answered all the questions. So Alex, anything else that you want to add to that?
No, I mean, really, I'm looking forward to the live day. For me, you know, the energy, the buzz in the room when we pull together and we get these days together, it's great, and we put a lot of energy in. I think, you know, last in March, Arsh, we went out for something to eat afterwards, and we were knackered, mate. When we were tired, you know, a lot of energy, a lot of effort goes in. It's the time goes really quickly as well. That's the other thing that I noticed. You know, when you're in there, you think it's a full day, but it goes really quickly because there's so much going on. It's a real hive and a buzz of activity, and I love that day. So for me, I'm really looking forward to meeting you guys. You know, hopefully you can go come and join us and start this journey with us, and do so in such a positive, you know, positive way, and leave on that Friday, hopefully with a deal, but buzzing and feeling confident that this is somewhere where you can go, something you can work with us on, and really start taking control of your own financial position, like Marsh said, regardless of what's going on with you know, chancellors and prime ministers and kings, etc. So I'm really looking forward to it.
So Veron says, how much do we earn per deal? So we work on a 50-50 split fee basis of the deal. So let's just imagine that that deal sells for, I don't know, let's say £3,000 plus VAT. You'll get 50% of the £3,000, or the 50% of the £5,000, depending on what the sourcing fee is. So it's a percentage of the sourcing fee. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. So Tim says, is the course necessary to get started? So yes, in order for you to learn the skill, in order for you to be able to do, to learn about it, you need to be on the course. It's almost like saying, do I need to take driving lessons to drive a car? Chances are, yes, you do. So Tim says, what if I'm unlikely to be able to do the course? Don't talk yourself out of it, Tim. Believe it or not, this is actually quite easy. This is actually quite easy, and there's no reason for you not to be able to do it. The fact that you're on this webinar means that you're interested in something, and as a result of it, give yourself the opportunity. You know, look at it from an opportunity point of view. All you need is one deal to make your course cost back. So if you work Monday to Thursday, understand the new skill, learn the new skill, and implement it on the Friday, one deal will make your course fee back. Plus, let's work on a £3,000 fee where we work on a 50-50 percentage of the fee. And that just answers your question, Flamore, is that we work on a 50-50 split fee basis. If we work on that, you generate £1,500 off that deal, you've not only paid yourself your course fee back, but you've also generated an additional 50%. So it really is quite simple when you look at it from that point of view. Does that make sense? So can I sell customer who's interested in selling the property? I find it okay. So I think, Majid, the question that you're asking, it goes that you think you've got someone that's selling the property. If you have, appraise it, and then let's have a look at it. I've got no issue with that. You know, you don't have to come on the course to sell the property on the Property Investor app. The Property Investor app is open to all and sundry, so that we can sell deals. You can upload your deal on the Property Investor app by clicking the Sell Your Property button, and you can upload it there. But it all comes down to you guys. So I think that kind of finalizes the session. So if you've got any questions and you want to get in contact, you want to speak to Alex directly about the workshop, and it is specifically about the workshop, just please be conscious that, Alex, we receive a lot of calls in the office, and it's a case of not speaking to Alex about, you know, what can we do, how can we do, that will be worked on in the workshop. Feel free to call the office on 01902 773940. If you've got any questions, you can email me directly, which is arsh@arshellahi.com. Are there any further questions? I think that's pretty much covered us for the evening, Alex. Is there anything that you want to do before we sign off? Anything that you want to say before we sign off?
No, I think we've got it all pretty covered. I mean, just on the point of anybody can upload deals to the app, I just want to maybe just refine that slightly. Anybody absolutely can upload a deal on the app. You know, there's no issue there. However, unless you're kind of with us doing the training and understanding the process and you know our deal structure, you know, we can't have people ringing up agents, you know, saying we work with the property investor app and things like that, unless they've gone through our training so that they know how to position themselves, what they can say and can't say, and understand the process properly. So I just want to make sure that no one's going to be picking up the phone to agents saying, oh, well, so we've got this database for investors, and you know, and promising the world and using our brand. So I just wanted to be dead clear on that. But absolutely, if you've got a deal already bubbled along in the background, please upload it. Let's take a look at it. You know, I'll give you a call and we'll have a chat through the deal and appraise it and see if we can do something with it.
Okay, and the final question from Brianna is, if I purchase a course tomorrow, will it still be possible to get the bonus material? I'll tell you what, yeah, I'll extend it for 24 hours for you, Brianna, but and then I'll send you the information out straight away. And then Nadim says, final question, do you use valuation reports from any third parties? Yes, we do. So there are platforms that you can use which can generate valuations. We tend not to do that as much, just purely because the amount of data that's out there allows you to make an informed decision. So I'm hoping that, I don't want you to work hard, I want you to work smart, and that's a big thing for me in this training. Don't spend hours and hours trying to find some information where it's so readily available for you in the open, you know, in, let's just call it, in the digital hemisphere.
Yeah,
yeah, for free. And so Julia says, what changes are you seeing in the investor buyer market? Believe it or not, investors are still very active. Yes, naturally, they're a little bit more hesitant because the interest rates have increased, which have meant that the cash flow is perhaps not as attractive as it was previously. But Alex and I have got kind of a mindset that this is only a short-term blip. When more financial products come back out into the marketplace, rates will lower, and as a result, the investors will continue to thrive. And you've got to remember, when you're investing in property, you're not investing in it for a period of 1 to 2 years. You're investing it on pretty much a 25-year term, which is the same kind of term that they take a mortgage. Within that time, you're going to see things that happen. You know, no one predicted COVID. You can also say that rates are going to increase, rates are going to decrease. We've seen Bank of Interest rates go to its lowest level. And I think, if anything, people have become used to having such a low Bank of Interest rate that they've forgot that that's not actually the norm. The actual norm of an interest rate is between 5 and 6%. We've just been extremely fortunate within our lifetime to see base rate even go to negative. So you've got to factor all that into consideration. So Kadima says, do you have any off-grid properties on the app? I'm not sure what you mean by off-grid. Do you mean off-market? Yes, absolutely. We've got loads of off-market properties. If you talk about off-grid, I'm not 100% sure what you mean by the terminology of off-grid. So if you can clarify that, that'd be great. Julie says, what returns are they wanting now? Believe it or not, the returns pretty much remain the same. You know, for a return on investment, you're going to be looking circa 15% or above. You know, below market value opportunities, they still want circa, it depends, because we've got such a vast database. It can vary anything from 5% discount right up to 50% discount, depending on the investor themselves. So it's a real, if you're working with 1 or 2 investors, Julia, you could perhaps put that into a mini spreadsheet. But when you're working on a large database, there is no specific parameter, because no 2 investors are the same. 2 people will want completely 2 different style of properties, 2 different cash flows, because they've got their own agendas. So guys, on that note, I really hope you've enjoyed the session. Alex, want to thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. It's a Sunday evening.
Don't worry, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I really look forward to seeing you all on Friday the 11th, and also working with you from the 7th of November on the deal trading masterclass and the 5-day property challenge. So on that note, guys, I wish you all to be safe, well and happy, and I look forward to speaking to you all very soon. Thank you and bye-bye.